Premier League actually returns today.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
No, it returned over the Wednesday.
No.
You mean it returns today? Matthias here, which is better?
Some teams no mobile ball. Teams beat the set. Team I'm body. I'm memo. Arsenal beat Arsenal. Now I'm cover ball.
Into which one is the big one today?
Today, United Spurs.
Yes.
Live on 97.3.
That is the game.
Leeds United. Or which of the United?
There's only one United. If you think it is Leeds, sit there.
I thought you said they were.
No, Bofuakwa United. And then I'll be salty. Bofuakwa.
The Premier League returns properly tonight.
The Manchester United, no.
Be careful there.
You hear Mourinho versus who?
Mourinho versus Ole. By the way,
is that why you're wearing?
Nice.
I think is that why you're wearing your Man U jersey?
Yes.
Is it live on Citi?
Live.
I see.
Live.
Okay.
Nowhere else.
I see.
With proper commentary. Live.
Bruno Fernandes.
Pogba.
1 Bissaka. 2 Bissaka, 3 Bissaka.
and the most politically aware footballer on planet Earth.
Who is that?
Marcus Rashford. You're giving up.
There's something they call it will end in tears.
You know, the new normal. It didn't change for us now.
That's the old normal.
Manchester.
It will change.
Okay.
No, but before the league went on break, we had done 11 match unbeaten. So don't worry. Yeah.
I wish you well.
We wish you well.
It will end in tears.
Liverpool, empty stadium. You will see.
We've already won the league.
No, Jai. You need 2 wins. You will lose Liverpool.
And then yeah, we didn't even anyamipe.
Let me take you to the front page of the Daily Graphic. Government invests $219 million in basic schools project to improve quality education. Ghana Health Service amends COVID-19 policy. I'll give you details on that. And the other big story, 102,000 NPP delegates decide fate of 308 aspirants, 47 women in contention.
Now, the Ghanaian Times, reopening of senior high schools on Monday, June 22. Government rolls out COVID-19 safety protocols as President tasked CHAS to ensure strict adherence.
Front page.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
I'm done. COVID-19, no bed shortage in Ghana. Guess who is speaking? The Ghana Health Service. 10,000 schools to benefit from $219 million education improvement project. And new ICOMS backs 490 million Ghana cedis in 2 weeks, poised to surpass average 920 million Ghana cedi monthly revenue collected this year.
Yeah. Front page of the Herald newspaper. Government yet to give out COVID-19 equipment to basic schools ahead of reopening. NPP activist uses Jubilee House to dupe people. Police CID blows alarm. Banks refuse syndicated loan for Cocoa Board. That's another story we should be looking at. And Joy FM cries foul over Asasi Radio.
Now, the Chronicle, Akufo-Addo intervenes in Tema Port Bruhaha. Workers call off strike, so action can begin. Nana Baumia to be acclaimed. This is the NPP. And NACOP rejected Aflao cocaine. GRA fires back.
Front page of the Daily Guide. Actuation proposal rejected. NDC participates in EC pilot exercise. NPP outdoors Nana Baumia picks MPs tomorrow.
Now, they find that $219 million for education improvement in 10,000 low-performing basic schools. ICOMS generates 490 million Ghana cedis in 17 days. State not losing revenue, GRA. 20 COVID-19 treatment centers not being used. Dr. Kuma Bwaji and NHIA pays service providers 598 million Ghana cedis in 2020.
The Daily Statesman's front page is MPP primary sent to Hajibebia, so it's the MPP primaries tomorrow. Same for the Ghanaian Observer.
Okay. Now, the new weekend crusading guide on the NPP primaries. Mampon resident crew for Francis Adenimo, Stephen Amo Astika tops for Inshaeso. And there are some other stories. Michael Koe Jr. donates tricycles to Dome Kwabenya. And government focuses on equitable teacher deployment, Akufo-Addo says, as he launches Gallop in schools. There is also a story, Public Band Board Chair. The Weekend Crusading Guide has been going on with that story. And yesterday they released a rejoinder. Today the paper has also published a new story.
What about the Ghost Street business?
Yes, now the Ghost Street business. Latest data reviews change structure of Ghana's economic growth. GRA rakes in 490 million Ghana cedis from ICOMS. $310 million remains outstanding to Petroleum Holding Fund and formulates specific policy for vegetable value chain development.
Let's go online, citynewsroom.com. Ghana Health Service releases new guidelines for discharging persons with COVID-19. Now,
biostatistician says these guidelines are terrible. Meanwhile, Parliament will schedule third round of COVID-19 testing for MPs staff, according to Majority Leader, and Finance Minister to present media budget in July. Now, on politics, Anodon Press says, I will secure not less than 80% of the votes. Also, other stories, Capital Bank collapse, Atuasian given final chance to renegotiate charges with state. Meanwhile, Takrady kidnapping suspect claims police tortured him to get false confession. CitiBusinessNews.com stories making the rounds. Unipass rakes in 490 million cedis in 17 days. Also, Unibank collapse charges amended against Dufour from 68 to 71. And as I read, Finance Minister to present media budget in July. MyJoyOnline.com, Mahama promises to build hospital ship if elected. Other stories, Majority Leader accuses media of misrepresenting his comments on COVID-19. And Akufo-Addo's management of COVID-19 chaotic. This is John Mahama. And Multimedia records 5 COVID-19 cases. If you go to Star News, lead story there, MP calls for justice after notorious landguard hacks constituent in Nima. Also, praise singing Council of State members won't stop COVID-19 spread. Mahama to government and will besiege Jubilee House if you don't pay as customers of collapsed banks crying foul. And those are the stories online. Let's start with the Daily Graphic.
Well then, Bernard, let's do MPP everywhere.
Okay.
102,000 MPP delegates decide fate of 308 aspirants. And that story is on page 20 of the Daily Graphic. Tomorrow, 102,000 delegates are expected to decide the fate of 308 aspirants seeking to represent the ruling New Patriotic Party in 101 constituencies. The candidates will represent the party in those constituencies in the December 7, 2020 parliamentary election. Out of the aspirants, 47 are women, with 12 of them going unopposed, while the remaining 35 will be in a fierce contest. The females represent 15% of the 308 aspirants. Now, although the primaries are to be held in 168 constituencies, 67 candidates will go unopposed. Among those are Mr. Kwekwaji Menu, Minister of Health, who's MP for Doma Central, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu for Bekwai, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Seche Mensah Bonsu, and a host of others. Now, the primary in the Kwadaso constituency, the Ashanti region, will be held on June 24, 2020. And the party has outlined a number of measures, both for safety and security. So it looks like, Bernard, the NPP certainly is ready for tomorrow.
And some of the headlines on the MPP's primary: Stephen Amwa tops for Inshaeso, where Kennedy can come as the sitting MP. Mampon resident crew for Francis Adenimo. Michael K. Jr. donates tricycles to Domi Kwabenya. And Nana Baumia to be acclaimed. That is in the Chronicle. Now, Maxwell Ofori writes that the New Patriotic Party has scheduled Saturday, June 27, 2020, to acclaim its presidential aspirants and its running mates, Nana Adedanko Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, respectively. This all-important event takes place exactly a week after the party has gone through its parliamentary primaries in constituencies.
Now, also, one story that has emerged out of this is on page 18 on the Daily Graphic. Amend party constitutions to stop primaries every 4 years, according to MPs. Yes, members of parliament have urged political parties to initiate reforms in their constitutions that require they conduct parliamentary primaries every 4 years. They said the democratic practice of opening up all the 275 constituencies for primaries every 4 years served as the genesis and seeds of corruption. Majority Leader Seche Mensah Bonsu, Minority Leader Mr. Haruna Idrisu, and Minority Chief Whip Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka made this call, and this was after an adjournment in Parliament based on the necessitated by the absence of many MPs from the House. Now, Alhaji Muntaka expressed worry at the manner in which the privilege to serve as an experienced legislator in the House had become like a crime, and that is in quote. Currently, he said, newcomers in the House contributed 50% of legislators, while the most experienced, who had stayed for more than 4 terms, were less than 30%. And we do not see danger coming? He asked rhetorically.
Well, somebody could say, why don't we also allow the government to stay in power for more than 4 years so that they'll get more experience? The thing is a 4-year term, so let's do the 4. Then we'll decide whether we want to renew or not. Let's stop.
Yes,
but what they're also saying
and
is,
if MPs want to reduce the corruption they are talking about, they can work on
what they're also asking
corruption
for parties to do is to organize primaries during parliamentary recess.
Fair enough. Now, let's go to the port. I have a couple of stories. There's one in the graphic, page 10, but there's one on Citi Business News. Unipass rakes in 490 million cedis. Unipass has been getting quite a bad name for the past few days, but this story says GRA has reassured freight forwarders that technical challenges that have disrupted the incomes will be addressed by end of June. Now, speaking at a press briefing, Commissioner General of GRA said even though the system is fraught with challenges, they've been able to rake in more than 490 million cedis in 17 days, which is more than half of the amount raised by the previous system in a month. Think about this. So 17 days, 490 million, more than half the amount raised by the previous system in a month. So it means that in the next 13 days, if they raise the same thing, they would have matched it. Revenue for customs averages around 940 million per month. Our lowest collection has been around 800 million and our highest around 1.2 billion. So he said that per their calculation, Unipass has done well if it has been able to mobilize 490 million within 10 years. Now, if you go to the center spread of Daily Graphic, there's a story about port workers calling off a strike.
Okay, let me give you one more line on this items, and then we'll go to the port workers calling off the strike.
Yes.
Now, the GRA boss said, unlike the previous systems, the ICOM system is able to conduct end-to-end clearance for the 3 segments, which include pre-arrival, clearance, and post-clearance. And with time, it will
Well,
make
but to be fair, some port people have sent me comments still complaining bitterly about the way the system is. So, I mean, we're not saying that it's been addressed entirely, but let's do the fourth story first.
It's here on page 3 of the Chronicle. Akufo-Addo intervenes in Tema Port Bruhaha. John Bediako in Tema says, the strike action embarked upon by the workers of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority since Tuesday, which affected the discharge of cargo at the Tema Port, has been called off following the intervention of President Akufo-Addo. The bone of contention was the lack of business activities at both Terminal 1 and 2, which are being operated by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. But in a letter dated June 17, 2020, the President directed the Acting Commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority to revise its directive to exempt refrigerated cargo containers and permit their transfer from Terminal 3 to the reefer yard of GPHA, where duties and taxes will be paid before delivery to consignees.
Meanwhile, a port worker has sent me a message, or a clearance person says, Bernard, the Tema Port issue is so frustrating. Takes days to get a single invoice. The system doesn't synchronize well among the various agencies. It's been 10 days. I needed to clear my cargo. It's not been possible. I've paid rent and demurrage in excess of 10,000 cedis and by no fault of mine. We are so powerless and keep paying bills to these agencies for the inefficiency of the system. Please turn your eye to this and kindly use your medium to trumpet our frustrations. This is very frustrating. Bernard, regards. And this was from somebody who is an agent.
Maybe that's why the revenue has gone up.
Yeah, probably.
Well, on page 17 of the Daily Graphic, Bernard, one of the big stories of this week was the missing cocaine.
Yeah.
We are investigating missing cocaine. According to GRA, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority is carrying out investigations into the handling and storage of the missing 100 grams of a whitish substance suspected to be cocaine, which was seized in a joint operation. A press statement issued by the GRA said, when concluded, the outcome of the investigations and the findings of a police forensic lab will be made public. I don't think they should be allowed to investigate this.
Because the two of them are accused. Kojo, let's continue from the finder.
Let's do education, then we go to the COVID-related issues. $219 million for education improvement.
Okay.
Daniel Nono writes that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo has launched the Ghana Accountability and Learning Outcomes Project, GALLOP, an initiative aimed at improving the quality of education in low-performing basic schools in the country. The project is targeted at the 10,000 least performing basic schools, and these include kindergartens, primary and junior high schools across the country, as well as all special schools with direct interventions. Under GALLOP, the government will invest some 219 million Ghana cedis in a comprehensive set of interventions that address constraints from teaching to learning in our school.
Well, if you go to the Herald newspaper, they have a front page story that says that government is yet to give out COVID-19 equipment to basic schools ahead of reopening. So if you
actually,
get the paper,
the CHAS confirmed that they are still waiting for PPEs. They were interviewed on Eyewitness News yesterday. The head of the Commerce Access Junior High School said that they still not received their PPEs. Schools opening on Monday for final years. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of stories around banking. So, Capital Bank collapsed. Atuisian given final chance to renegotiate charges. You read a headline that suggested that his proposal had been rejected.
Yes, the Daily Guide has that story. Let me just take you to page 3 of the Daily Guide. The Attorney General's Department has rejected a proposal by the founder and chief executive officer of the defunct Capital Bank, Atuisian, to refund some 27 million Ghana cedis to the state under Section 35 of the CORS Act. Although the details of the proposal have not been made available, Marina Pare, a chief state attorney, told an Accra court yesterday that the first set of proposals by Mr. Isen was totally unacceptable to the prosecution. She said they had subsequently received a second proposal which they had responded to, and his lawyers were yet to receive it. Well, I spoke to our court correspondent yesterday, Sixtus, on the clarification of this story, and according to him, he says that what the state is rejecting is the payment modalities that they submitted, not that they are rejecting
that he should pay. Yeah, but that's the point.
Yeah.
So the proposed payment modality is not acceptable. Now, there's another story from the banks.
Yes, Unibank is also here.
Yes.
Okay.
Charges amended from 68 to 71. This is citybusinessnews.com. State has amended the charges against founder of defunct Unibank, Dr. Kamnadu Bufo, and former executives over the alleged roles in the bank's collapse. The one-time central bank governor and finance minister is standing trial with a former deputy governor of the bank, Johnson Esiama, and other former executives for alleged fraudulent breach of trust, money laundering, contravention of the Bank of Ghana, and conspiracy to commit crime. Now, the state added 3 more charges to the 68 already level against them. Now, according to Sister Don Ulo, the accused persons have been admitted to bail, and the case adjourned to July 16th and 17th for case management conferences, and then they give the details of the new charges.
Now, on COVID-19 and treatment, the question is, do we have enough beds to treat or manage cases? The answer is yes. We have enough beds because there is no bed shortage in Ghana. 1. And 20 treatment centers actually are not being used. 2. So those are the answers. Now, the first answer is in the Ghanaian Times, and Abigail Ano says, the Ghana Health Service has stated that the country was yet to exceed its bed capacity for treatment of coronavirus patients, contrary to emerging reports of bed shortages at the centers. Now, according to the Ghana Health Service, we started this process with a 450 bed capacity, which has increased to 700, and at the moment, we have 71 treatment centers across the country, with 21 of them idle. This is Dr. Patrick Kumabaji speaking. Now, the Finder's Angle says, Dr. Kumabaji, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, announced at a media briefing that we have enough beds to take care of COVID-19 patients in the country. He said there were currently 20 treatment centers that were not being used. And aside from that, they were creating 12 intensive care unit beds at Rage Hospital, Pantang, and Dodoa Health
So how
facilities.
come over the week we were told that in Kumasi, the COVID patients are being sent to the Accident and Emergency Center? That was reported from Konfano Teaching Hospital.
Yep.
So if the beds are enough, what about the distribution? It's one thing to have beds available. It's another thing for the distribution to match where they are now. Let me give you 2 stories. The biostatistician and lecturer at the Department of Biostatistics, University of Ghana, has slammed the government's new guidelines for discharging patients infected with COVID-19. Now, don't forget, Dr. Kumar Boaji, at the same press conference you were referring to, had released a new guidelines for discharging persons with COVID-19. And for example, for patients who are asymptomatic, 14 days after initial positive, we will discharge them without a test. For symptomatic patients, you will do 14 days after testing positive. If you are without symptoms, you are discharged after 3 days without symptoms, Dr. Abuaji outlined. But speaking to Eyewitness News, Dr. Dua Jumo described the new protocols as terrible and could lead the country into a serious situation. Now, let me give you 2 more. My John Online, Akufo-Addo's COVID-19 management chaotic, John Mahama. This is from yesterday's Facebook encounter. Former President John Dramani Mahama has described the President Akufo-Addo's management of COVID-19 crisis as chaotic. The situation the former president said has led to the spike in cases in the last 2 weeks. Then, if you go to Star News, there's another one. Praise Singing Council of State members won't stop spread of COVID-19. Mahama to government. Former President Mahama has once again taken a swipe at the government's handling of COVID-19. According to him, government has been more concerned with praising itself than addressing the spread and the realities of the virus in the country. Speaking in a digital address, he said the spread of COVID-19 could have been put in check if government had listened to sound reason from Ghanaians. And then there are other stories emerging. For example, he's promised to build something he calls a hospital ship. This also emerged from yesterday's
hospital ship.
Yes, the story is on myjournalline.com by Na Sakwaba Aqua. It says NDC presidential candidate John Mahama has says an NDC administration would build a quote hospital ship if elected into office, named Onipenia. The former president said the move is part of his party's plan to improve healthcare and provide easy access to quality and efficient health services. Okay. So those are from yesterday's program.
No problem. Let me tell you about Cocoa Board.
All right.
That's on page 4 of the Herald newspaper. Banks refuse syndicated loan for Cocoa Board. Ghana's Cocoa Board's annual pre-export financing will be raised by a club of banks as its traditional lenders, the European Bank, have declined to underwrite the risk amid the uncertainty of the coronavirus pandemic, banking sources said. The loan will back its 2020-2021 cocoa crop and is expected to be raised by a club of around 12 or 13 banks, providing ticket sizes of approximately $75 million, although the actual size hasn't been decided yet, the sources said. The Herald's insiders have revealed that this is the first time in 28 years that Cocoa Board is facing this situation.
I think Cocoa Board needs to properly address this. So, Ekodonto wrote a story on Bloomberg
2 days ago.
Ghana struggles to pay cocoa agents after virus hits exports. Then the Herald followed up with 2 stories. All we've seen is a story in the graphic from Fifi Boafo saying that this is not true. But I think that for the importance of cocoa and the livelihoods that cocoa depends on, we need a proper press briefing where the CEO comes to explain to us whether this is true. Because, for example, if you listen to a Ekodonto story, it says Cocoa Board is struggling to pay purchasing agents for beans bought from farmers after the virus pandemic slowed exports and curtailed sales. Lockdown restrictions at destination ports have weighed on cocoa shipments from the world's second biggest cocoa producer in recent months. Now, this was confirmed by Fifi Boafo himself. The arrears, according to the story, have mounted to 1.2 billion cedis. That's about $208 million, according to people familiar with the matter. But Mr. Boafo declined to comment on the outstanding amount. And I don't think this is right. Cocoa is the mainstay of majority of Ghanaian farmers. And so this is something that requires attention. Now, if it's true that we can't pay our agents because of the problems with coronavirus, what is the government doing about it? There's a midterm budget coming in. So we can't let this be, denials and no. There has to be a proper response to this.
This is one of the things you do politics with.
Yeah, this is very far-reaching. So we can't just do it like, we dismiss it and move on.
And you know, next week's business festival will be talking about trade and related matters.
Exactly.
And the first story Godfred read about the financing, one of our resource persons feels that one of the big opportunities for Africa is local financing in this particular
Now,
era.
Kojo, listen, the analysis is that Ghana has suffered a potential loss of sales of $1 billion after the decline in prices in February. Right? Do you know what $1 billion? Multiply that by almost 6.
By 5.
Yeah,
5.
so
6
this is look, there was a lower than forecast production because of some of the plant disease issues as well. So you have that, you have the cocoa price itself not doing well. Then you have the COVID issue. So this is a major issue that has to be thoroughly addressed. If Parliament needs to call the Cocoa Board people to ask some questions, maybe the committee should do this. Because you see, once you have challenges like this, the transmission to farmers across various regions becomes a problem.
So cocoa is struggling, cashew is struggling.
The only person that did well is gold.
Yeah.
So, and we don't know whether gold can offset the problems in these two sectors. Thank you, gentlemen. That was a newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Don't go away.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show.